Welcome to Red-tastic. Story 1. My brother, 29 male, and his girlfriend, 28 female, have a 3-year-old Lucy. He works part-time and his girlfriend works full-time, but does not have a good job. They can't afford childcare, so for at least half of the week, our retired parents will take care of Lucy, and then sometimes I, 24, will have her. I make significantly more money than my brother and his girlfriend. I am single and child-free, so I also have a lot of disposable income. I enjoy cooking and eating out, and like to buy the best quality ingredients and food that I can find. I realize this sounds super snobby, but the kind of food that my brother and his family buy for their house, I would not buy or have at mine, because it is the cheapest possible food and usually very low quality. Whenever I watch Lucy, not that often, maybe once a week, I feed her whatever I happen to have that I bought for myself. Freshly baked bread from bakeries, fresh fruits, pastries, nice cheeses, cold-pressed juices, etc. My brother's girlfriend texted me the other day furious, telling me that I was a snob, cruel, selfish, and malicious for feeding Lucy foods that they cannot afford at their house. Apparently, now she is complaining about what they buy for her and what they feed her, saying she doesn't want it and doesn't like it. She told me that I should know better than to feed her things that they cannot afford, and that it is mean to do so. She sent paragraphs and paragraphs insulting me and calling me names. I texted her back telling her that I did not mean any harm by it, but that it is simply what I have in my home, and if she wants me to keep watching her, for free I might add, don't complain or send her over with a packed lunch. I called my brother about the exchange and he defended her saying that I was a jerk because they can't afford the types of things I have at my house. He said that I should buy the kinds of things that they buy and keep that for when she comes over. I told him I could do that for a few things, but it is more effort for me when I am already watching his child for free to make a separate lunch and dinner for her. And then, how do I explain to a child why I'm giving her a different kind of meal or snack than the one I'm eating in front of her? Am I in the wrong here? I'm not trying to turn the child into a little toff, but is it really so bad to give her fresh orange juice and fresh fruits and breads just because my brother can't afford to feed that at her home? They won't speak to me now and told our parents I'm a cruel snob, yet they still want me to watch her this weekend. My parents don't want to get involved in this, but my brother's girlfriend told her family about it, and now I'm getting rude Facebook messages from them. Edit. Number 1. No, I am not watching her this weekend. Our parents will have her. Number 2. I will not stop watching her forever. I love her and she is a sweet child. She likes to come over and I don't want to punish her for her shitty parents. Number 3. Perhaps I phrased some things incorrectly. She's not blatantly complaining that what they are giving her is low quality. She's just being picky, saying she does not like things that she used to eat, saying that she wants to come visit me, and apparently she told her parents that she likes what I give her. To me, this is just a child being a child, but her mother has tied it back to me having better food. And yes, I think they are insecure and jealous, but I can't blame them for those feelings. Number 4. No, I'm not feeding her foie gras and caviar, lol. And no, I'm not criticizing anyone's food or even talking about food with her. Not the a-hole OP. I can't believe they are complaining to you about feeding their child good food while you are providing free childcare instead of being grateful to you. They need to deal with it. Whatever it is, that's the real issue here because I don't really know why they would consider this a bad thing. Because it sounds like a good thing, not a problem. To be honest, I think they're just being insecure about what they feed their child, but that does not give them the right to gang up on you and insult you. You deserve an apology. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole, but I strongly agree. If the child doesn't have access to something nutritious such as fresh fruit, there is a bigger problem at hand regarding food insecurity. As a family member with the means to provide these foods, out of decency, I would probably purchase some for their household on a weekly basis for the sole reason of ensuring my niece has access to a proper balanced and nutritious diet. If they can't afford artisanal cheeses, that's one thing. But fresh fruit and veggies are a staple in any young child's diet, and the parents should be ensuring access to these. If not, your parents who watch her often or yourself should step in. OP, if anything, if I was in their position, I would be grateful that A, my child is getting fed for free, and B, that my child is being provided healthy and fresh food. Yes, you giant asshole for introducing my child to healthy food. Stock up on goldfish for next time. Not being able to provide healthy food to the child should be enough motivation to better themselves as parents, rather than chewing you a new one. I don't understand some people. I think the parents overreacted. First, they should have a talk with their child along the lines of, you need to eat what is available. Second, it's not OP's fault the child is upset. And they didn't need to insult OP. Also, OP is doing them a favor with free childcare. OP is not trying to interfere with their parenting, just feeding what is convenient for them. Story 2. During a family gathering, my parents once again started asking me about when I'll give them grandbabies. I have been married for 3 years, and neither me nor my husband have interest in having kids of our own. I usually just brush them off and walk away, but this time they were extremely persistent, especially because my brothers and sisters were around, and some of them already have families of their own, even though they're younger than me. The reason why I'm not into the idea of having kids is that I had to play the role of a parent to all my siblings, 6 of them. My parents were irresponsible and had me at 16. Once I was 5, they had my first sibling, and the rest of them were born soon after. So since I was very young, I had to help my mother and supervise and take care of 6 kids while being a kid myself. I never mentioned this to my parents because they never asked me my motives. In fact, they brush off the excuses I give them. So I decided that maybe if I were honest, they would finally understand, but I was very wrong in that assumption. My mother was crying halfway through the explanation, and my father got very heated. I tried to have it be a private conversation away from where everyone else was, but since things went downhill, all my siblings got very curious about what had happened. I had to explain what had happened to my siblings, which ended up turning into a bigger mess. I was called ungrateful, hurtful, asshole, and cold-hearted for not only blaming my parents, but also for making my siblings feel like they were a burden. At this point, my husband and I decided to leave, which only escalated things even further because I ended up getting kicked out of the family group chat and also have been blocked by most of them on social media. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, OP. Your siblings were not your kids and should have never been your responsibility. No offense, but your parents don't seem like very good parents. They have to deal with the repercussions of making you act like a parent your entire childhood. A lot of people don't like to face that crappy stuff they've done and they get defensive. That's probably why your dad got heated and your mother cried because they know you're right. And I understand why your siblings feel hurt because nobody wants to feel like a burden. But your feelings aren't targeted at them, so they took things a bit too far. And I'm sure they would feel the same way if they were in your shoes. Now for some comments. Yeah, not the a-hole for sure. OP's parents made an adult decision and suffered adult consequences, having sex and getting pregnant multiple times. They then selfishly and unfairly stole OP's childhood from them and freaked out when they get the honest truth about why kids aren't on the table. If they can't handle the truth, they shouldn't have asked. In no way, shape or form is OP any of those things they were accused of being, and they should stick to their guns. Sometimes the truth hurts, but sometimes the truth really needs to be shoved into some people's faces, whether they like it or not. Basically this, as someone who also spent my childhood being mother to my siblings, this was exactly how I felt for a long time. I ended up changing my mind, but you have every right to decide not to have kids. Even if you didn't have childhood trauma as a reason to back up your decision, you still have every right to make that choice. You don't need to defend your decisions to anyone, except maybe your partner. Not the a-hole. I was raised in a family where kids being forced to help raise their siblings was just how it was done. Now, as an adult, I see how effed up it truly is. Don't get me wrong, I see nothing wrong with parents asking older children to pitch in and help. Changing a diaper here and there or entertaining the baby while your mom cooks dinner is no big deal. But when older siblings are the child care, when they're just expected to sacrifice their own childhood to raise other kids, that's effing wrong. Story 3. To start this off, I will say that I'm a huge cuddler, always have been and always will be. My mom likes to joke that I got that from my dad, who is also a massive cuddler. Onwards, this Saturday, I went to my dad's house for a visit. My aunts were there. We ate dinner, sat on the sofa and watched a movie. At this point, my brother, my dad and I were all on the sofa cuddling. It's freezing in CA, LOL. About halfway through the movie, my dad and brother fell asleep. My aunts paused the movie and said, "We need to talk." They started talking about how it was inappropriate for a young woman such as myself to have such close contact with my dad and brother. Here is where I think I might be the a-hole. I put on my bitchiest, most wide-eyed face and asked them, "What do you mean?" My aunt looked kind of flustered and kept on insisting that this was inappropriate. I kept on asking them what they wanted. At this point, my mom came into the room. She was trying hard not to laugh, which I think pushed my aunts over the edge. They left and spammed our family chat with passive-aggressive comments. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole OP. If people have something to say, they should come out with it, politely, not try to ambiguously and passive-aggressively shame you. And they should absolutely be prepared to explain what they mean if they are called out. The fact that your aunt feels the need to sexualize a family interaction is just gross. This is the norm for your family, and while it might not be the norm for everyone, that doesn't make it wrong in any way. I think your reaction was perfect, and they're just embarrassed they were called out for their gross assumptions.